How do you do? This is Clive Brooke. Today I want to tell you something about the Special Branch of Scotland Yard. I expect you've heard of it. Judging from some detective novels, you'd imagine it consisted of a group of super Sherlock Holmeses who are called in when everything else has failed. But that is not true, is it, Percy?
No, Clive. The Special Branch of Scotland Yard is a unit of a couple of hundred men who specialize in political crimes. They differ from their colleagues of the Criminal Investigation Department in that they must be able to speak several languages.
In fact, the function of the Special Branch in official language is to guard the security of the state.
Or, as the boys themselves put it, to clear up political nuisances.
So today, a Special Branch man may find himself guarding the King or the Prime Minister, probing the antecedents of political refugee who seeks the protection of British nationality, tracking down the perpetrators of a bomb outrage, or sauntering among the guests at a royal garden party.
Clive, why don't you tell them the story of the absent-minded professor?
All right, Percy, I will. It's a story which shows the far-reaching significance of political crime and how, wherever an international conspiracy may start, sooner or later its tentacles will come within the reach of the long arm of the Special Branch of Scotland Yard. Ottawa, Canada, September 1945. One war is over, but for at least one of the great powers, another war, a secret war of information, a nerve war, has never ceased. It is late in the evening, and the offices of the Canadian Ministry of Justice are almost deserted. The last few employees are on the way home, and one of the officials is evidently trying to get rid of a late visitor.
Coming in to see us, sir, but I'm afraid there's really nothing I can do about it. Why don't you write us a letter?
But you don't understand.
But I'm very sorry, sir, but I'm afraid I have to go now.
Okay.
Thanks for calling
But
in.
please.
I'm very sorry. Phew, I thought I'd never get rid of that guy.
What do you want?
Oh, some screwball. Said he came from the Soviet embassy. Wanted to show me some secret documents.
You're kidding.
No, but I guess he was. Tried to tell me all about some fifth column. Crazy guy.
What's his name?
Oh, I don't know. Here's a slip he sent in. Igor G.O.U. Guzenko.
Igor Guzenko, 25-year-old cipher clerk, employed in the code room of the military section of the Soviet embassy in Ottawa. Igor Guzenko, a man whose story was to shock the world, a man whose information was to bring to justice traitors of three nations who had endeavored to betray the Allies' greatest secret, the atom bomb. But this September night, Igor Guzenko is finding it very hard to tell his story. Nobody believes him. And yet all the time he knows that at the Soviet embassy his desertion will have been discovered. Already his one-time colleagues will be moving into action against him. What can he do? To whom can he turn?
Inspector McLean. Where? Who's that? Guzenko's. Well, who are these guys breaking in? From the Soviet embassy. Searching the place, eh? Well, listen, have you traced Guzenko? Oh, you picked him up. Oh, he wanted to be arrested. I don't blame him. Well, now, listen, hold on to Guzenko and all his papers. Get hold of his family and don't let anybody see him. Yeah. Well, move him out of town and come back to me for instructions. Now, remember, nobody must see Guzenko.
In a matter of hours, it was clearly established that not only were Guzenko's documents genuine, but that they included copies of 4 recent and secret telegrams exchanged between the British and Canadian governments on highly confidential matters.
And realizing the complete freedom which exists in Canada, I am convinced that the Communist Party in democratic countries has changed long ago from a political party into an agency net for the Soviet government. A 5th column in these countries to meet a war. I decided that I could no longer serve my government, but must at last speak the truth.
The Canadian police authorities found in Guzenko's documents a fascinating story of how, in secret code, the Soviet military attaché in Ottawa had given information and received instructions from Moscow.
Message to Zabotin, Ottawa. Your immediate objectives are 1. The atomic bomb, its composition and technological processes. 2. A sample of uranium-235. 3. The library and secret documents of the National Research Council. 4. Latest developments of electronic fuses for shells, radar, and a super explosive known as RDX.
Zabotin to Moscow. Facts are given by Alec. 1. The test of the atomic bomb was conducted in New Mexico. The bomb dropped on Japan was made of uranium-235. 2. Alec handed over to us a sample of uranium-235. 3. Alec has also reported brief data concerning electronic shells. There is in the shell a small radio transmitter with 1 electronic tube, and it is fed by dry batteries. The body of the shell is the antenna.
Moscow to Zabotin. Work out and telegraph arrangements for the meeting and password of Alec with our man in London.
Zabotin to Moscow. Alec will work in King's College, Strand. Meetings October 7, 17, 27 on the street in front of the British Museum. The time 11 o'clock in the evening. Identification sign, a newspaper under the left arm. Password, best regards to Moscow.
But even Moscow realized that their boys in Britain might have rather a busy evening identifying Alec from the number of Londoners with newspapers under their arms in Museum Street at 11 o'clock in the evening. They replied,
Arrangements not satisfactory. Correction. Facing British Museum. Intersection Great Russell Street, Museum Street. Time, 8 o'clock, October 7, 17th, 27. Identification signs. Alec will have under his left arm the newspaper Times. The contact man will have in his left hand the magazine Picture Post. Convey instructions to Alec.
Convey instructions to Alec. Who was Alec? The Canadian police authorities at once placed the facts of this alarming leakage of atomic secrets before Prime Minister Mackenzie King. Realizing the grave implications of the plot, Mr. King hastened to Washington to acquaint President Truman with the situation. 4 days later, the Canadian Prime Minister crossed the Atlantic and repeated the story to British Premier Mr. Clement Attlee. Officials of British military intelligence were called to Downing Street. The investigation was entrusted to Lieutenant Colonel Leonard Burt. Burt, a pre-war yard chief, was seconded to the War Office at the beginning of the war for anti-sabotage work. Incidentally, today he's back at the yard in command of the Special Branch. The colonel's immediate and priority mission was to identify Alec.
Well, I don't expect we shall have much trouble finding out who Alec is. Our main problem is going to be to get him, to find out how much he knows, and, even more important, how much he has told.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's have a look at those cables again. Here we are. Alec will work in King's College, Strand. Give me the phone directory. Here we are, sir. Thank you. Okay. King's College, Temple Bar 5651. Hello, King's College. Put me through to the principal's office, will you? Thank you. Hello. This is Lieutenant Colonel Burt of the War Office. I wonder if you could help me. It's just a routine inquiry. I want to know whether you have on your staff at the moment a physicist who has recently worked in Canada. Yes, that's right. Oh, up to a few months ago? You have? Oh, good. I see, yes. Yes, that's right. He went with a research group on a project in Montreal, and he's just come back to London. Good. Now, what's his name? Dr. Nunn May. Thank you, that'll be all. Oh, sounds like our man.
And October the 7th looks like our day, sir.
4 days from now, we'll have to get busy.
As October the 7th approached, a number of well-built but unobtrusive men began renting rooms in Museum Street. Rooms with first-floor windows which looked out onto the forecourt of the British Museum. In this and many other ways, known only to MI5 and the Special Branch, every inch of the place of rendezvous was covered by one or two observers.
Inspector Burt?
Sergeant Wilson here, sir.
All right, Wilson. I know you haven't seen him.
Not a sign, sir.
That's not surprising. I've just had a report from the man who shadowed him from King's College. He left there at 6:30, went straight home, had supper, and according to his last call, he's now sitting in front of the fire, doing guess what?
Search me, sir.
Playing patience.
Playing patience. And if anybody knows how to play patience, it's the men of the Special Branch. On October the 7th, they drew a blank, but they still had 2 more chances. Dr. Nunn May was shadowed constantly, but always unobtrusively. On October the 17th and again on the 27th, the watchers by the British Museum kept their vigil. But Dr. Nunn May did not keep his appointment.
It's no use, Wilson. He must have been warned.
Do you think he's suspicious, sir?
Oh, he may know he's being watched, but I don't think so. Not yet, anyway.
What do you mean, not yet, sir?
I think it's about time Dr. Nunn May and I had a little talk. I'm going round to King's College. How do you do, Professor? My name is Burt, Inspector Burt of Military Intelligence.
How do you do? Military intelligence, did you say?
Oh, that's right. I don't want to waste your time, Professor, so I'll come straight to the point. Are you aware that there's been a leakage of confidential information in Canada relating to atomic energy?
Really, Inspector? I don't know what to say. Certainly, it's the first I've heard of it.
The first you've heard of it?
Of course, I must say, Inspector, that I don't read the papers very much.
I wasn't suggesting that you'd have read it in the papers. I was wondering whether you'd had some first-hand knowledge.
What do you mean, Inspector?
Just this. I want you to answer 1 or 2 questions for me. During the period you spent in Canada in connection with the Atomic Energy Commission, were you approached at any time or by any person to give information concerning your work?
Certainly not. And I think I should say, Inspector, that if the Department of the War Office you represent is concerned with counter-espionage or anything of that nature, I'm not prepared to answer any of your questions.
But you do say that you were not approached and did not give any information whatsoever.
That is correct.
Inspector Burt sensed that despite his answers and his bold front, the little professor was rather worried. When the Special Branch finds that a suspect is worried, they usually proceed to worry him just a little more.
All right, Wilson. There are your instructions starting tomorrow. I want the men in Stafford Street and everybody who's covering Nunn May to change their technique. So far, their aim has been to be as unobtrusive as possible. From tomorrow, I want Dr. Nunn May to know that he's being watched.
And so the men of MI5, under the direction of Inspector Burt, began the next phase of the war they were conducting against the little professor. In the next few days, the shadowing was performed in a manner scarcely creditable to the reputation of Scotland Yard. Meantime, a message had been sent to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who were instructed to inquire how closely Dr. May's travels had fitted into the pattern outlined for Alec in the cables which had been intercepted between Moscow and Ottawa.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police to Burt, Special Branch, Scotland Yard. Information supplied by Dr. John Douglas Cockcroft, Chief of the Atomic Energy Project at Montreal, shows Dr. May made several trips to the nuclear research laboratories of the Manhattan Project at Chicago, coinciding entirely with the reports from Alec. Dr. May left for England within a few days of his last trip to the research laboratories and is scheduled to return for a month's work next year. Everything checks up with the information in our possession concerning Alec.
Yes, And the signal goes on to say that no other scientist has followed the same schedule or is planning to return next year. Yes, everything fits. It must be Dr. Nunmay.
Meantime, officials of the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation had entered the story. The information concerning Dr. May was sent to the headquarters of the Manhattan Engineer District in Washington, D.C.
One of the fundamental principles of United States military intelligence is that personnel on secret projects are entitled to know only as much as they require to carry on their work. Thus, months before, when the National Research Council of Canada had proposed that Dr. May be allowed to visit the United States for 1 month, the application had been placed before General Groves personally.
The general had sent for the file on Dr. May. It included the information that Dr. May had already visited the Chicago Atomic Research Laboratories 3 times, and that this third visit occurred between September 25 and October the 30th, 1944. He carried on extensive work in collaboration with other scientists in a highly secret and important new field. His work resulted in a research report in which he collaborated with an American scientist. To Groves, a 4th visit by May to the United States ran counter to security principles, for it would allow him to know too much of what was going on in widely separated projects. Accordingly, the answer had gone back, polite but firm, no. If vital secrets in the field of atomic energy still rest secure, credit must be given to General Groves' decision to bar Dr. May. For as the Canadian Royal Commission of Inquiry had stated,
The Soviets failed to obtain details on the structure of the atomic bomb only because there was no one in Canada who could tell them.
that all this was in the future. Back in London in September 1945, Lieutenant Colonel Burt had still to complete his case against Dr. Nunmay. After waiting for 1 more week, during which the professor must have been well aware that he was being shadowed by the Yard, the colonel went back to see the professor again.
So you see, Professor, I thought it would be a good idea if I came back to have another little talk with you.
Yes.
Yes. You see, I wanted to tell you that we know that you had an appointment to meet someone in the vicinity of the British Museum shortly after your return from Canada.
Well,
Who was that person? And why didn't you keep the appointment?
yes, you're quite right. I didn't keep the appointment.
And who was the person?
When I came back to London, I decided to wash my hands of the whole business.
What business?
The matter this person was going to see me about.
It's no use, Professor. You see, we know too much.
I tell you, I have nothing more to say.
I think you will have something more to say. And I am quite prepared to wait until you are ready to say it.
I absolutely refuse. If you think you can persuade me into making some sort of statement...
Inspector Burt didn't think, he knew. He realized that a man like Dr. Nunmay, conscious of the fact he was being followed, nervous and frightened, would in the end have to come clean. Well, Dr. Nunmay didn't tell the whole truth, but at least he started to tell part of the truth, and at the end of this interview, he gave a long statement.
About a year ago, whilst in Canada, I was contacted by an individual whose identity I declined to divulge. He called on me at my private apartment in Swale Avenue, Montreal. He apparently knew I was employed by the Montreal laboratory, and he sought information from me concerning atomic research. I gave and had given very careful consideration to correctness of making sure that development of atomic energy was not confined to the USA. I took the very painful decision that it was necessary to convey general information on atomic energy and make sure that it was taken seriously. For this reason, I decided to entertain a proposition made to me by the individual who called on me. After this preliminary meeting, I met the individual on several subsequent occasions in Canada. He made specific requests for information which were just nonsense to me.
What do you mean by that?
I could not understand what he was talking about.
Did he ask you for samples of uranium?
Yes, and for information generally on atomic energy.
And do you admit to giving him samples?
Yes. At one meeting, I gave the man microscopic amounts of U-233 and U-235, one of each. The U-235 was a slightly enriched sample and was in a small glass tube and consisted of about 1 milligram of oxide. The U-233 was about 1/10 of a milligram and was a very thin deposit on a platinum foil and was wrapped in a piece of paper.
What else did you give him?
I also gave him a written report on atomic research as known to me. This information was mostly of a character which has since been published or is about to be published.
Anything else?
The man also asked for information about the American electronically controlled ack shells.
And what did you do?
I knew very little about these and so could only give very little information.
Anything else?
He also asked to people employed in the laboratory, including a man named Veal, but I advised him against attacking him.
And what did he give you?
He gave me some dollars.
How many?
I forget how many. He gave me a whiskey bottle. I accepted these against my will.
I see. And when was your last contact?
Before I left Canada, it was arranged that on my return to London, I was to keep an appointment with somebody I did not know. I was given precise details as to making...
What were those details?
I forget them now.
Why didn't you keep the appointment?
Because I had decided that this clandestine procedure was no longer appropriate in view of the official release of information and the possibility of satisfactory international control of atomic energy.
I see. Is that the end of your statement?
Yes. The whole affair was extremely painful to me. I only embarked on it because I felt that this was a contribution I could make to the safety of mankind. I certainly did not do it for gain.
So much for the professor's statement. The Special Branch of Scotland Yard had already unearthed more incriminating evidence.
Here we are, sir. I've made a summary of these papers that have come in from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Thank you. Let's see. Dr. Nunn May, etc., etc., etc. Ardent communist. Yes, just what I expected. I see they picked up 8 of his friends in Canada. And do you see this, Wilson? Definite statements. The doctor visited other atomic projects at the request of the Soviet embassy. Well, I think our case is ready now. It's about time we brought in the Director of Public Prosecutions. Bring in all the other files on the case.
And so it happened that a few days later, while Dr. Nunn May was lecturing a class of students at King's College on the subject of nuclear theory, he had a visit from the Special Branch.
And that, I think, brings us almost to the end of our work today. We have, of course, only touched upon one phase of the subject of nuclear theory. And I hope that tomorrow afternoon I shall have the chance of dealing with chapters 7 and 8 in the papers under discussion, and that we manage to write a lot of ground. That will be all.
Excuse me, just one moment, please.
Yes, what is it?
You are Dr. Nunn May.
Yes?
I have a warrant for your arrest. I must warn you
Yes, I was expecting something like this.
Well, if you'll just follow me.
And so Dr. Nunn May was not able to continue his lecture the following day, for he had a pressing appointment at Bow Street, where the following morning he was formally charged with
having for a purpose prejudicial to the safety and interests of the state communicated to some persons unknown certain information calculated to be directly or indirectly useful to an enemy, contrary to the Official Secrets Act of 1911.
At the Old Bailey, Mr. Justice Oliver said,
I have listened with slight surprise to some of the things learned counsel has put before me. The picture of you as a man of honor who had only done what you believed to be right. I do not take that view at all. How any man in your position could have had the crass conceit, let alone the wickedness, to arrogate to himself the decision of a matter of this sort, where you yourself had given your written understanding not to do it, and knew it was one of the country's most precious secrets, when you yourself had drawn and were drawing pay for years to keep your bargain with your country. That you could have done this is a dreadful thing. I think that you acted not as an honorable man, but as a dishonorable man. I think that you acted with degradation. Whether money was the object of what you did, in fact, you did get money for what you did. It is a very bad case indeed. The sentence upon you is one of 10 years penal servitude.
Well, that isn't quite the end of the story, because after the trial, there were many protests that the sentence was out of all proportion to the magnitude of the offense committed. The Association of Scientific Workers issued a statement in which they declared,
We do not seek to justify Dr. May's breach of the Official Secrets Act, but we are convinced from our knowledge of Dr. May that his action was determined only by the principle that fundamental scientific data should have been shared with a country that was not only friendly, but a fighting ally. The only work in which Dr. May was engaged, and on which he could have been in a position to give unauthorized information, concerned fundamental scientific data relating to atomic energy. Dr. May had no connection whatever with problems of the construction of the atomic bomb and could not have been able to reveal information on atomic bomb manufacture.
What about that, Percy? Oh, and by the way, I was going to ask you, why do you call this the case of the absent-minded professor?
Because, Clive, while the professor may have been internationally minded about the secrets of atomic energy, you must remember he also gave away the secrets of electronic shells.
You've got something there, Percy. But you know what these absent-minded professors are? Which reminds me of a story.
Time's up, Clive.
Yes, I'm afraid it is. But I have to leave it until next week. Well, that's all for today. This is Clive Brooke saying goodbye and pleasant dreams.
Have you ever thought of murdering somebody? I have. I suppose most of us have. But there's something that's different between thinking about it and carrying it out. At least I hope so. Something that's different. But not something you can see or recognize or that may give you a warning. For example, a murderer may have stood next to you in the lift this morning. He might be the man who asked you for a light for his cigarette, or sat next to you in the cinema, or shared the same table at a restaurant, or... Anyway, there was nothing to show that he was a murderer. That is where truth differs from fiction. I've acted in a lot of films about murder, read many crime stories. There's always something strange about the man who commits the crime. Something remote, something sinister. As a background, that's sinister, too. An implication of evil is always present. But in real life, the most hideous crimes cast no such shadows before them. The background could be quite cheerful and ordinary, the criminal a simple, prosaic sort of fellow. Now, let us take such a scene and such an ordinary sort of chap going into a post office one sunny morning in the little English town of Boston. And listen.
Telegram, please, miss.
Thank you. Morning Post. Come immediately. 4:30 train, Waterloo, Bournemouth Central. Something will meet. I'm afraid I can't read this bit here.
Where? Let me see.
Here.
That's car. Car will meet.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Car will meet train. Extent, no object urgent.
You've got it. How much will that be?
2 shillings, please.
Just a simple little act. Sending a telegram. The girl behind the counter thought nothing further about the man who sent it. Why should she? Would you? No reason why you should. Unless you happen to know, as I do, that he's a murderer. Days later, the body of a woman was found in a field about 3 miles outside Bournemouth, a seaside resort on the south coast of England. That is where our casebook history begins. The police are inspecting the body.
See her clothes, Fred, they're still damp. Stopped wearing it early last night, didn't it?
That's right.
About 8:30. Must have happened before that, then. Nasty piece of work. Yeah, poor woman. Somebody made a thorough job of her, all right. Those car tracks show how she was brought here. The car must have pulled up just down the road there. I'd recognize those tire marks anywhere, Sid.
Well, we better take measurements of the track and wheelbase, Fred.
Not much more we can do till the doctor comes. We'll be along any minute now.
It didn't take the police long to discover the identity of the murdered woman. She was Irene Wilkins of Streatham, London. And within a few hours, her widowed mother was then on her way to Bournemouth to see Superintendent Garrett in charge of the case.
Irene had been advertising in the paper for a position as lady cook. They answered by telegram, asking you to come down immediately.
Where was the telegram from, Mrs. Wilkins? Do you remember? This may be very important.
Oh, I remember where it came from, all right. It was from Boscombe.
Splendid.
I hope you'll get the brute that killed my poor girl.
We'll get him all right. You must be brave and help us all you can.
Oh, I'm sorry I gave way like that. But it does seem such a shame.
I wonder if you can remember the date on the telegram.
Well, it came Monday morning. Now, that would be
December the 22nd. And this gives us something to work on. Sergeant Harris? Yes, sir? Come here a minute. I want you to go to the post office at Boscombe.
Yes, sir.
Tell them I want to see the original telegram form that a customer handed in on the 22nd to be sent to this address. Wilkins, Thomere Road, Streatham.
Very good, sir. Boscombe. We've heard that name before, haven't we? And Boscombe is only a couple of miles from Bournemouth. So it didn't take Detective Sergeant Ellis long to get there, nor did it take long for one of the post office clerks to search through the files and find the original copy of the telegram sent to Irene Wilkins. Sergeant Ellis made a quick trip back to Superintendent Garrett's office at Bournemouth.
Start work, Elliot. Now, let's see what we can get from this telegram. Morning Post. That must be the newspaper Miss Wilkins advertised in. Come immediately, 4:30 train, Waterloo, Bournemouth Central. Something will meet. Oh, car. That's what it is. Car will meet train, expense no object, urgent. Signed Carver, Woolbeach House.
I checked up my name and address, sir. They're both fictitious.
Well, that was to be expected. I'd say this was probably written by a man. You notice anything peculiar about the spelling?
I did, sir. It's almost as bad as the handwriting. That's pretty awful.
Right. Here's immediately spelled with an I instead of an E. No E in Bournemouth. And expense with a C instead of an S. This might give us something to work on.
Well, a car did meet Irene Wilkins, sir. We've got the measurements. We know the make of tires it was fitted with.
Yes, we may be able to do something with that in time. But I think our best line for the present is through this telegram.
The handwriting and spelling are distinctive, sir.
Put out a general inquiry, see if any more telegrams with peculiar spelling have been sent off lately. If so, get me the originals. Try the Boston area first and work out from there.
Very good, sir.
When Scotland Yard takes over an investigation, no clue is too small to be considered. Postal headquarters in London were asked to make inquiries throughout all their offices in the British Isles. It took a bit of time for Ellis to check all the branch post offices in the Bournemouth district, and it was some days later before he reported back to the superintendent, weary but triumphant.
Come in. All right, you, Ellis. Any results?
Yes, sir. Not bad at all. 2 telegrams received during the last month with similar areas of spelling.
Good.
This is the first one, sir.
Addressed at Dippenson.
Yes, sir. The handwriting matches.
Odd name, this. And sent from Hampstead this time. Advertisement. Immediate interview desired. Come Waterloo, Bournemouth. Remain night if desire. Expenses given. Car will meet train. Signed Mrs. Cooper. Train spelling mistakes, aren't there? Immediate with an I instead of an E. Bournemouth without an E again. If with 2 F's and expenses spelled with a C. Definitely looks like the same chap.
I agree, sir.
What happened to Mrs. or Miss, whichever it is, Ditmanson?
No, the car didn't meet her, sir, so she went back to London.
Lucky for her, I should think. When was this sent?
December the 17th. Here's the other one, sir, sent 2 days later on the 19th to a domestic employment agency.
Please send by 5:30 Waterloo to Boscombe train. Young, pleasant nurse companion of a girl of 20. Car will meet train. There's another spelling mistake in this one. Pleasant with no A. In addition, all of them seem to have the same phrase. Car will meet. What do you think about it, Ellis?
Oh, well, sir, I think that those telegrams are decoys sent by the same person. You contacted the employment agency, of course? Yes, sir. They sent a letter to the address given, Butler, Boscombe Grange, asking for more particulars. They got no reply. So did nothing further in the matter.
Right. Well, it's back to the Boston post office for you, Ellis. You must be getting quite popular with the young ladies there.
No, sir.
What?
I'm not oversensitive, sir, but I get the feeling they think I'm a nuisance.
Well, now's your chance to change all that. Get talking to the clerks and see if you can find one who remembers accepting any of our illiterate friends' telegrams.
It's only a small post office, sir, just a man and a girl. The girl seems intelligent.
Fine. Off you go. And good hunting.
So Sergeant Elliot trotted back to the little post office at Boscombe, and his luck was in. He found Miss Watkins, the girl clerk, there alone. Ellis had not overstated the case. She was intelligent and not reluctant to talk. Quite the reverse.
I brought along a copy of a telegram, Miss Watson. One that was sent from this office. Would you mind looking at it and seeing if you remember it?
I'll try, but I don't promise I'll recognize it, mind you.
I understand that. Here it is. Take a look.
We have so many through here, you'd be surprised. They're talking of opening a bigger post office. We've really got more business than we can handle here.
Well, come to that, it might have been the other clerk who took this one.
Well, now, isn't that funny? After all the excuses I've been making, I do remember taking in this wire.
Splendid. Recollect anything about the sender?
Now, wait a minute. There was something. It was a man, I'm certain of that.
What's he look like?
I'm afraid I can't remember much about his looks, Sergeant Ellis, or what he was wearing. Still, there's something about that telegram nagging at the back of my mind.
Oh, it'll come, don't worry. And take your time. That's what I find helps most when I'm trying to remember something. Try too hard, it just takes you that much longer.
But you say it's important.
Oh, it might be.
Let me read it again. Morning Post. Come immediately. 4:30 train, Waterloo, Bournemouth Central. Terrible writing, isn't it?
Yes.
Something will meet. Oh, car will meet. That's it. Of course, I remembered.
I knew you would.
His voice. I'd remember it anywhere. Now, I'll tell you why. There was that one word I couldn't read. That word car. So I asked him what it was. And he said, car will meet. Now, I don't know why, but his voice gave me the creeps. It wasn't anything he said. I'm just sensitive to voices. I'd recognize that voice again anywhere.
It's going to be a bit of a job, finding a man by the sound of his voice. Still, you never know.
Well, I don't blame Ellis to you for thinking it was pretty much of a wild goose chase. But as he said, you'll never know. Meanwhile, other detectives were busy in the Bournemouth-Boscombe area, questioning both owners and chauffeurs of all cars whose general measurements might fit the tracks left at the scene of the crime. And here's where the name of Thomas Henry Alloway comes into our story. He was chauffeur to a Mr. Sutton, who owned a big gray saloon.
What were your moves, Mr. Alloway, during the late afternoon evening of December the 22nd last?
That was Monday. Being the old man's late night, I went down to the station about 5:30, picked him up, drove him back, and took the car away at 6 o'clock.
Do you have your own key for garage?
No, there's only one. Mr. Sutton keeps tight hold of it. I locked up, turned the key in like I always do.
I see.
Then I went into Bournemouth and had a bit of supper at the Duke's Arms and went to the cinema.
After that?
Came home and went to bed. What else was there to do? Pubs were all closed for then.
You seem to remember it all very clearly, considering this happened over a month ago.
What's the matter? Is it a crime to have a good memory?
Have you got a good memory for spelling?
What do you mean, spelling? Here, what are you getting at?
Well, did you ever have any difficulty with certain words?
I don't know.
Well, let's find out. Here, take this pencil and write in this notebook while I dictate.
Now, first, I want to...
The experiment was a flop. Alloway's handwriting turned out to be entirely different from that on the telegram. And what's more, his spelling was quite correct when it came to writing out sentences that used the misspelled words. No, it didn't look as though he could be the man Scotland Yard was after. More and more, Superintendent Garrett was coming to realize he had a really tough case on his hands.
You know, Elliot, we shouldn't have let the postal authorities talk us into publishing those telegrams in the newspapers.
Well, sir, it did seem a good idea at the time. It made it a lot easier for them to circulate the details of what we were after.
Yes, but it's probably tipped off our murderer to change his handwriting and brush up on his spelling. He's clever, whoever he is.
Of course, there haven't been any more telegrams.
No. No. Judging from this report, it doesn't look as if Alloway's our man. The car's about the right size, but the tires don't match.
He says he hasn't changed them since he put them on himself 4 months ago.
What about the owner of the car, Mr. Stockton?
Not a chance, sir. Watertight alibi for the whole evening.
Ellis, my friend, I'm afraid for the moment we're stuck.
Yes, Scotland Yard was stuck. Just for a moment. Then coincidence took a hand, as it so often does in crime investigations. You'll hear about it in just a moment. Against any criminal getting away with it are enormous. Just think of all the details he has to take care of in planning out a crime. If just one goes wrong, he's likely to find himself in more than a spot of bother. He's got to think of himself and what he's doing first, last, and always. And he may overlook the fact that other people unimportant to him may notice things and remember them. Like Miss Watkins, the postal clerk, with her flair for remembering voices. One day, Thomas Alloway took a parcel into a Bournemouth post office. And it so happened that the clerk he handed it to was, yes, you're right, Miss Watkins, who had just been transferred there from the Boscombe branch.
I want to send this parcel. I'm in a hurry.
Let me have it. I'll wait. I know that voice.
Who is he? An old boyfriend?
No fear. That'll be 8 halfpenny.
8.5. I've got the exact change, I think. Half a tick. Yes, yes. Here you are. And don't hunt that parcel around. If you bother to look at it, you'll see it's marked fragile.
That's the man who sent that telegram. Quick, come to the window. Yes, he's getting into a car. A grey one. Can you see the license number? LK. Oh, I can't quite see it.
LK 7405.
LK 7405. Look out for the counter. I must get on to the police at once. What a bit of luck meeting him. And it was him, too. I'd know that voice anywhere.
Yes? Oh, hello, Miss Watkins. Huh? Yes, of course I remember you. He has? You got the number. Excellent. LK 7405. Good work. Thank you. Ellis, there's your friend Miss Watkins. She's recognized the man who sent the wire, and she's got the license number of his car. LK 7405. Did it ring a bell?
Just a sec, sir. I'll look through these chauffeur interviews. No. Yes. That's Mr. Sutton's car. The chauffeur was Thomas Henry Alloway.
That fellow again. We can't charge a man with murder because his voice resembles somebody who once sent a telegram.
There's not much support for his alibi, sir. Apart from the car being locked in the garage that night, he could have had a duplicate key made.
I'm afraid all we can do for the moment is to keep a very close watch on that gentleman. If he is our man, perhaps he'll slip up somewhere.
No such luck. More time went by and nothing happened. And then, believe it or not, another coincidence. Remember, this is a true case, and I'm telling you so exactly as it took place. Another little fact popped up that Alloway hadn't accounted for, because he'd been concentrating on himself at the time. Superintendent Garrett received a call from a man named Humphreys.
Now, Mr. Humphreys, tell us your story in your own words.
Well, Superintendent, I traveled down to Boston on December the 22nd in the same train as Miss Wilkins.
Excuse me, you didn't know Miss Wilkins?
No, but I recognized her photograph later in the paper. Although by that time, there was nothing much I could do about it.
But I don't follow.
Well, I'll explain. I'd come to Boston to spend the night with friends just before a business trip I was taking abroad. Next day, early, I took the train to Southampton and went on board the boat. I probably wouldn't have seen the papers at all, except that we were late in sailing, and my cabin steward brought on board an early afternoon edition.
I see. That explains a lot.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I didn't see the paper until after dinner that night, and we'd been at sea several hours.
Right, go on.
Well, of course, I was horrified to read what had happened. She was a nice-looking girl. But there didn't seem to be anything I could do, so, well, I'm afraid I just left it at that.
Oh, too bad. Still, I quite understand. Now, to come back to the day of the murder, it was there in your letter that you saw Miss Wilkins get into a car.
Yes. When we got off our train and were having our tickets collected, I was standing right behind her. That's when I noticed her hat.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her into this car, and I noticed it particularly because it had a peculiar luggage rack, a design I hadn't seen before. That may seem odd to you, but I must explain that I'm a motor car body designer by profession.
So naturally a detail like that would catch your eye.
That's it. But I didn't notice the license number of the car. And it wasn't until the day before yesterday that I came back on a visit to Boston. And by a strange coincidence, yesterday I spotted that same car again, recognized it at once.
By the luggage rack?
Yes. The whole thing came back to me in a flash. And this time I took the number as the car was past me. My friends told me the case hadn't yet been cleared up, and so I immediately wrote to you.
That's very interesting indeed, Mr. Humphrey. I think this evidence may be of great value to us. Now, just one more thing. You see this pile of ladies' hats on the table? Can you identify any one of them?
Yes. This one. The girl I saw get into the car was wearing it.
That's the hat found beside the murdered body of Irene Wilkins.
Definite proof, you say? No, not yet. But the case against Thomas Alloway was building up. What about the handwriting on the telegram? Superintendent Garrett had a bright idea. He needed something written by Alloway before the time of the murder, and was able to obtain the application form Alloway had filled out for his chauffeur's driving license. Would they match? They did. Perfectly. Proving beyond a doubt that Alloway had disguised his handwriting during the police test. Somehow, we'll never know how, Alloway learned of this new development, and knowing that he'd been closely watched for weeks, it was too much. He cracked. He forged his boss's signature to 6 checks and bolted. Well, that did it. Alloway was off like a fox with the hounds after it. The police immediately issued a warrant for his arrest and searched his flat. There they found a duplicate key to the garage. So he could have taken the car out again that fatal night without Mr. Sutton knowing. And Alloway, where did he disappear to? How on earth do you find one person among 45 million? You and I couldn't do it on our own, but if we had a vast organization like Scotland Yard behind us, it would only be a matter of time before we found our man. And so Superintendent Garrett wasn't too surprised when he got a telephone call from the police at Reading. That's 90 miles away from Bournemouth.
Hello. Superintendent Garrett here.
We've got some good news for you, Superintendent. This is Reading Police Headquarters. We've picked up Thomas Alloway.
Oh, nice going. How'd you pick him up?
He came into a garage here. Landed with driving in a tank. We'll bring him along to you.
Sounds simple, doesn't it? But I'm sure you can imagine the many hours of patient work and the hundreds of inquiries that finally resulted in Alloway's arrest. On him, the police found cards and letters in his own handwriting that matched up nicely with the telegrams. As Superintendent Garrett put it, a distinctive, ugly scrawl as nasty as the man himself.
Looks now as though we've got an open and shut case of it. And there's just one thing more. Get a dozen of those chauffeurs we interviewed and Mr. Alloway. I want to see if Miss Watkins can pick him out of a crowd by his voice alone. Now, Miss Watkins, you're not nervous, are you?
Just a little. Now, don't mind me. I'll do whatever I can to help.
Good. Well, what I want you to do is very simple. In the next room are several men. When we go in there, they'll have their backs turned to you, and you turn yours to them.
I can't see them then.
No, that's very important. They'll each in turn say certain words. If you recognize any of their voices, I want you to say so at once.
All right.
Ready?
Yes.
Now then, just stand here, facing the wall. All right, Ellis. Carry on when you're ready.
Very good, sir. Will you read the words written on this card? Car will meet.
Second man.
Carr. Carr will meet. Third man?
Carr. Carr will meet.
That's the man.
Thank you, Miss Watkins. That is Thomas Alloway.
And without any doubt, Thomas Alloway was a clever man in several ways. But like every other human being, he unfortunately had his weaknesses. If you set out to plan a crime, and I hope you don't do it very often, you should always make allowances for the unexpected. Alloway didn't. His complete disregard for anyone but himself brought about his downfall. When brought to trial, Alloway put up a bold defense in spite of the overwhelming weight of evidence produced by Scotland Yard. The vital and decisive moment came while Alloway was in the witness box being questioned by the counsel for the prosecution.
Now, Mr. Alloway, there are certain words I want you to spell, and I want you to be very careful.
All right, go ahead.
The first word is Bournemouth. Will you spell that, please?
Bournemouth.
Thank you. And now, expense. The word expense.
Expense.
Right. Next, immediate.
Immediate.
Now, would you spell pleasant?
Plesent.
Plesent, like you spell present.
Yes.
His memory had failed him. He'd forgotten to check over the spelling in the telegram to the employment agency asking for a pleasant young nurse. His error, coming when it did, was enough to tip the scales of justice against him. Thomas Henley Alloway was convicted and hanged. We've called this case Accurate Spelling is Essential. Of course, you say, if Alloway hadn't been a poor speller, he might have got away with murder. But there are more ifs in the story than that one. If Humphreys hadn't been a motor car body designer, he probably never would have noticed that luggage rack on Alloway's car and so wouldn't have remembered it. If he hadn't left on his business trip when he did, his evidence would have been available immediately after the murder. If the police hadn't been forced to concentrate on the only other evidence they had, the telegram sent by Alloway to his victim, they might never have discovered Miss Watkins, the postal clerk. If she hadn't had a special talent for remembering voices, she might never have noticed Alloway. I think you'll agree with me that the long arm of coincidence played a large part in this case. For if none of these things had happened as and when they did, the murderer of Irene Wilkins might never have been brought to justice. By the way, are you good at spelling? I'm not bad, but after listening to this case, I'm sure you'll agree that it's always wise to keep a dictionary handy. In the next case I shall be telling you about, coincidence plays no part at all. But that's the next time. Now, until we meet again, I must close this casebook of the secrets of Scotland Yard.